An English attacking backline. Very rarely has this ideal scenario been successfully orchestrated in the modern professional game. The closest example of this I can think of in recent memory, in my opinion, was the 2014-15 Bath backline with Cook at 9, Ford, Eastman and Joseph in the midfield, and a back three of Banahan, Rokoduguni and Watson. What a snack. With this team by far being the most exciting team to watch in the Premiership that season, with them also gaining success in the league that season as well. It seemed like this was an evolution of backs play in the Premiership, the edgy new cool way to break down organised Northern Hemisphere defences, with young English talent being allowed to flourish in a creative style of play that suited their attributes. I truly believe that if this team had a little bit more luck and success both domestically and in Europe, this could have been the benchmark for other teams to pursue. But it wasn't to be, and this seemed to be a flash in the pan, with only the Wasps team last season coming slightly close to replicating the team's youth, flair and Englishness. But there is a team who seem to be picking up the torch that was left to them by Bath. And that team is Harlequins. Due to a lack of on-field success by their standards as well as some unfortunate injuries, Harlequins, kind of like Wasps in 2011, were given an opportunity to both try out some promising youngsters and snag some unutilised talent from a couple clubs during a season of transition for the club. The result being that last weekend and for a couple weeks prior, I watched a Harlequins team with a backline that looks like this. Danny Kerr and Marcus Smith as the halfbacks, Ben Tapawai and Joe Marchant in the centres, with a back three of Gabriel Ibitoy, Nathan L and Mike Brown, who played some very exciting pacey rugby that, despite that talented little chunky Australian in the midfield, consisted of English players, 3 of the 5 being some of the most exciting young talent in the Premiership, with both Ibitoy and Earl being nominated for Player of the Tournament at both their respective under-20 championships. Additionally, you have Joe Marchant, who in my opinion has been constantly exceptional for Harlequins, and on Eddie Jones's radar for quite some time. Then finally you have Marcus Smith, the youngest ever player to start a game for Harlequins and one of the most exciting players to watch in the Premiership. But this backline talent at Harlequins isn't an isolated incident, as you have players at other clubs like the outstanding Ollie Lawrence, who first came to my attention when I heard Andy Good talking about him on his podcast, saying that he was someone to watch out for as he had seen him tearing it up at an England training session, and every time I've seen him play since, he's been outstanding, from his sheer raw aggressive power and pace to his incredible skill and subtlety with the ball in hand. He's got it all. Then there's another outstanding young man playing for Exeter at fly half in the name of Joe Simmons, who is yet again another player who every time I've seen has been exceptional and is even starting to edge out Exeter stalwart Gareth Steenson. Then finally, a player who has already made his England debut in the autumn, we have Joe Thockner-Singer, a young man whose abilities first came to my attention when I saw a video on Instagram of him scoring an amazing solo try for London Irish in the Championship, and he has continued to build on his amazing natural gifts and has become an outstanding international player. The reason I'm listing all of these people is that I believe that England needs to capitalise on all this young talent coming through. Eddie Jones, no matter what your opinion of him, has done an exceptional job of bringing young players who he deems exceptional to be around the England squad, and I just hope we don't squander this opportunity to give these guys a shot during the next World Cup cycle, as it's an opportunity to maybe even change our style from our usual brutal savagery that we seem to be exhibiting and move towards a more elegant, pacey, youthful approach. I know this is extremely wishful thinking, and that last bit probably won't work in the international game, in addition to the fact that I don't want to blow too much smoke around these young players or put too much pressure on them being extremely successful. Someone really should do a video of an example of that, by the way, but I do sincerely hope for the former, and that this golden generation of English pacey attacking backs gets an opportunity to show what they can do, as it's not very often that this many young players are playing consistent high levels of rugby week in, week out. So I just hope that a happy middle ground is found where in the future England can be as uncompromisingly brutal as possible, but in a youthful, creative, beautiful way. Signed, NGJ.